Hello friends, my name's Scott. Welcome back to another episode of Grow Your Victory. We're back up here in the garden today, in the community garden, and we've got some work to do. For those of you who have been with me since the beginning, you'll remember putting together our raised garden beds. If you remember, these first two beds we filled with compost, and then we got the wood chips on them right away, and you can see we've got some weeding that needs to be done. But overall, it's pretty not too bad. We'll give you an update on our green beans here. You can see they've grown about 8 feet tall. The problem is the deer are absolutely massacring everything they can reach. So I got to figure out something to screen that in so that the deer can't just wipe them out. Our peas are growing really slow. Not a lot of progress on the peas. It's been super dry and super hot. So these two beds are in relatively decent shape. And then if you'll remember, we built these two beds and I said optimistically, I'm going to get up here in a couple of weeks and put wood chips on them. Well, as you can see, I did not get up here and put wood chips on them. And as a direct result, they have gone absolutely nutso with weeds. So I need to get these two beds weeded. I need to get those two beds weeded because I actually have some stuff that's far enough along to plant up here. So I'm very excited about that. Once I get these beds weeded, I'm gonna put down a layer of cardboard to act as mulch and before I get wood chips on top. And then, and I'm pretty excited about this, we're going to figure out a way to get some water out here. So sitting in these archways, I've got a couple of stands you see over here on the roof of the new boss. These wood stands that I was given, and I'm going to use those to hold up a couple of watering barrels. I almost don't want to show you in the back of my truck right now. It's kind of a gigantic disaster, but I've got these 15-gallon carboys, and we're going to set up a way that I can fill them and then use soaker hose to fill in or to water those beds gravity style. So yeah, see the back of my truck. What do we got? Transfer pump, screw gun, watering can, folding chairs, a sweatshirt. This is kind of a metaphor for my life right now, gang. Just sort of, I wanted to be a lot farther along on the garden. I wanted to get my own personal garden a lot farther along. A whole lot of other projects, but metaphor. So we got a lot of work today. We don't have a whole lot of time to get it done. So let's get growing. Okay, gang. Well, it's about half an hour later, and we've got her pretty well weeded up. Fortunately, our soil is that light, loose leaf compost, so it wasn't too bad. I was able to pull weeds out by the fistful, so that was good. Down here we got the chipped beds cleaned up, and I want to show you something. I'm pretty excited about this. When we started this, we talked about Hügelkultur and the wood chips being an important aspect of moisture retention, because we don't really have a water source out here that we can just hook a hose to and go. But I want to show you something. So the wood chips, if I dig down through the wood chips, and they're pretty dry, but if I get down to the compost and the soil below, I've got nice moist soil, and that's great news. It's been super hot and super dry here for the last couple of weeks, so I'm really thrilled with that kind of water retention in that soil. It gives me good hope for getting planted and having stuff have a chance for success even this late in the season. So I'm excited about that. Next step is going to be to get some cardboard down on these beds. It's still going to be a couple of days before I can probably get up here with some wood chips, but I want to get that cardboard down to act as a layer of mulch, prevent the weeds from popping right back up. I forgot I wanted to show you all of those weeds in our compost bin. This is a pretty good haul for one day right there. Okay, gang, so not the most beautiful job in the world, but we'll get those straightened out. We got a good layer of cardboard down on top of these beds to hold the weeds down. We've got some bricks and some rocks to hold them in place until I can get up here with the tractor and get some wood chips on them. We'll wet them down really good as well, kind of get them to conform to the beds, but that should act as a nice weed barrier for the rest of the season. We've got stuff that my wife ordered off of Amazon. We've got some pizza boxes, and if you have daughters, good chance you'll recognize these. The multitude of Girl Scout cookie boxes. So next step, get those stands set up, and we'll get a barrel with a couple of bulkheads in it and some soaker hose for some irrigation down on the end. Okay, gang, so I mentioned before I have these 15-gallon food grade barrels. I was able to find a lot of these on Facebook Marketplace for relatively cheap. I use them in the springtime for my maple syrup. I collect sap in them before and hold it till I can get it boiled, so they work well. What I have here is a bulkhead fitting I got from the hardware store, and this is a two-piece fitting, threaded piece that goes through the barrel, rubber ring on both sides. So I'm going to drill a hole in the barrel. These are left-handed thread, one day I'll remember that, but it's got a 1/2-inch female iron pipe fitting on it, and I've got a faucet that'll screw right into that. So I've got my paddle bit here, and I need to drill a hole in either side of this barrel so that I can use the barrel to feed the raised bed on both sides of it. I'd love to tell you that a 1-inch bit is going to do the job. It's not. I should have got 1 1/4 inch, so I'm going to have to drill this and then use the paddle bit to hog it out as best I can. It's not going to be pretty, but it's got a rubber seal on both sides, so we should be in pretty good shape. So I'm going to do that, and the drill sound will be super annoying, so I'm going to shut you off for that part. Alright, so like I said, it's not going to be pretty, but it's big enough that we can get the bulkhead fitting through. Now comes the fun part, where you try to reach down into the barrel and tighten that down. And try to get it compressed enough to where that rubber will seal against the side of the tank. Sometimes you got to go get a pair of channel locks. We'll see if this is one of those times or not. Ow. We'll get the other one on the other side and get our hose bibs installed. Okay, now we have these little 1/2-inch faucets. They're going to thread into that female iron pipe thread. Always a good idea with pipe thread to use some thread tape to seal it. It's not the end of the world if it leaks a little bit, but we want to get as much water into the garden as we can. Thread tape's kind of like a USB port. No matter which way you wrap it, it's always wrong. But we'll see how we did here. Got the thread in there nice. Boom, now we have a little valve we can open and close. Turn our soaker hose on and off. Do the other side as well. There we go. Good to go on that one too. Now let's get this barrel over on that stand. Okay gang, next up we have this 50-foot by 3/8 soaker hose. Now, I don't need 50 foot for each one of my gardens. I can easily make a full loop around the garden with only 25 foot of hose. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this hose, and you can see they put a fitting. There's your typical hose connection. You screw that onto the faucet, and then at the other end they have a plug that's got a male fitting on it. Well, I got an adapter, female to female adapter. I can screw that on, then I can take our hose, split it in half, and I'll have two hoses, one for each one of the garden beds. I should have known this would be a bit of a cluster gaggle. Probably could have got this spread out ahead of time. Not a whole lot of planning for this video, gang. Had a little bit of time, wanted to rush up here and get stuff going, so what you're seeing is the end result. Probably play some Benny Hill yakety sax music here or something. Fast forward through this part. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, let's try this again. We'll save you the drama. And we're back. After a brief fist fight with a hose, some pretty graphic swearing, and a little bit of crying, we found the center point of this hose. What we're going to do is go ahead and just break it in half, okay? And then what I do to cinch up the ends, they package them with these twisty ties. So I fold over the end, and I hit it with that twisty tie, and I cinch that sucker down pretty tight, and that's going to kink that hose, and that's going to give me a dead end for my soaker hose, which is what I want. So I want that water to sit in there and slowly seep out. So that's how I do it. I just go ahead and use these twisty ties that they include with the hose anyway to put that kink in there and go from there. Okay gang, barrels mounted, faucets in place, soaker hose doing a lap around our raised beds. We're in good shape. Next thing you got to do is get water in that barrel. So there's water in these two barrels over here. Has been for quite a while. Now those are 55-gallon drums, and full of water. They weigh well over 400 pounds. And so there's no damn way I'm going to be moving those. But I have a transfer pump. I'm going to hook up a hose, transfer pump with my 12-volt DC charger. We'll run the pump. We'll pump the water out of these barrels into that barrel. We'll get those soaker hoses going and see what we got. All right, friends, our project is rapidly drawing to a close. You can see here we've got our DC power supply, 12-volt transfer pump, suction hose in the barrel what has water in it, discharge hose running over to the barrel what needs water in it. All we got to do is flip this thing on and fill up that barrel. We'll open up our soaker hoses, and yeah, we'll show you when that happens. We'll save you the sound of the pump. Okay gang, the pump is done making its awful noise. You can see we've got our barrel filled up pert near the top here. Both of these bulkheads are leaking like a sieve. I'm going to have to get in there with a wrench and tighten those up. But let's open our petcocks here. and check out our soaker hoses. See what we got. Water working its way all the way around. This is a proof of concept run. I will bury this under the wood chips, and we'll put the ones on the other bed before we put the wood chips down. But you can see we've got water soaker hosing all the way around the bed. That's 15 gallons. We should get roughly the same in each bed. It's the same hose. So yeah, that's pretty good. I should mention, I did pull the restrictor plate out of the factory fitting there. There's a restrictor plate with a really small hole in it because the assumption is that you're going to be running your soaker hose connected to either a city water system or a well system where you're going to have pressurized water. And of course, we're gravity fed. We've only got about 3 feet ahead there, 4 feet ahead to push that water through the hose. But you can see it's doing just fine if you take that restrictor plate out. Well, that's tremendous. I couldn't be any happier with the way that turned out. That's pretty much the end of our work for today. It's getting on towards evening. I need to get home and get dinner prepared for the family, but really excited about what we got accomplished here today. And thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and click the like and subscribe button down below. It'd be great to have you follow us along on our journey here of getting this community garden up and running. So, till next time, hope you have a great day, and remember to grow your victory. I mean, there's a safety vest, a beekeeping suit, beekeeping equipment, an inflatable mattress, some empties I picked up along the side of the road. It's really a metaphor.